The effects of evolution. And before I open, I want to start with a little bit of a joke. The only 22s anyone should own. Little gun humor for you. Evolution is probably one of the most important subjects facing us today because of the worldview and lifestyle that it breeds. How evil it breeds a lifestyle and a worldview, except it does none of those things because evolution is just a fact. Things, animals, reproduce with variation. That is evolution. It has nothing to do with how you choose to live your life. It does not inform how you should live. The fact of evolution does not mean that we should exterminate the weak. Why wouldn't we? There's this great episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. One of the ones that I remember the best. The Masterpiece Society, I think the episode is called. There's this colony that screens all their offspring for genetic defects and does away with any that have defects and keep only pristine examples of humanity. Geordi LaForge comes in, and of course he's blind, and he has this visor that lets him see in all sorts of different ways, radioactive spectra, X-ray, whatever, infrared. And one of the ladies in that colony tells him straight out, if you were born here, you wouldn't be alive. Or Geordi tells that to her, whatever. And he's really pissed off by this. Of course, later on in the episode, Geordi, with his magical visor eye vision, spots a problem and saves a bunch of lives and points out that if he had been born there, he would have died, and they would have all died as a result. So their ideology was bad. The effects of evolution, if I can get ahead of Kent Hovind here a little bit to, drive him off at the pass, the effect of evolution is unknown in advance. I mean, the theory itself has had effects on society. I mentioned those briefly in the first video. But evolution itself, we can't predict where it's going to go. Maybe you're born with a defect, like, say, sickle cell anemia. And then malaria shows up and you're somehow a little bit more resistant to it. If we exterminated everyone who had sickle cell anemia, we would not have a line of research into the prevention or curing of malaria. So eugenics, which is the real thing that Ken Hovind hates, or social Darwinism, which has nothing to do with evolution, those are the lifestyles and worldview. The biological fact of evolution has nothing to do with worldviews, lifestyles, and, well, Ken Hovind can't tell the difference. A person's belief that he is a creation of God involves a particular worldview that will make him live a certain way. Yes, they will be irredeemable douchebags for as long as they live and possibly have a very high chance of ending up in jail for tax fraud or sexual, immorality. Hiring prostitutes, snorting meth out of their ass cracks, stealing people's money, faith healing scams, magical miracle water, prayer rugs, that kind of that. If you believe you were created by God, you will live a certain way that makes you a scumbag. In my experience, that is what it leads to. Being a self-centered, egomaniacal douchebag who is so convinced of your own superiority that no one can say anything to you because it's just, I live in a different world. Well, congratulations, Kent Hovind. Again, you're right, except not the way you think. If he believes that he is a creation of chance, that there is no God, then that will produce a lifestyle or worldview that will have certain consequences on his life. Well, no one believes that they're a creation of chance, except that in the way that we are. I mean, all those spermatozoa, when, pregnancies are about to happen, there's millions of little sperm swimming up and one of them gets in, or two, maybe. There's a little bit of chance involved there. Also, genetic defects, there's a measure of chance there, but you're not a creation of chance. It's not just rolling a die and whatever the result is, go with it. Because if that were the case, you would have a hell of a lot more deformed piles of quivering flesh being ejected next to the placenta. We're not a creation of chance, not in the way he's implying. So again, two implications, both way off the mark. And we're still in the first paragraph of this pile of crap. If you believe that there is no God, then it will produce a certain lifestyle or worldview that will have certain consequences on your life. The reason for this is because beliefs inform your actions. And if you believe that there is no God, or simply don't believe in a God, positive versus negative atheism, strong versus weak atheism, if you believe that there's no God, you won't accept easy answers that explain nothing. You won't accept, for instance, how did the universe get here? A magic man done it with magic. You won't accept that kind of an answer. So what consequence will that have on your life? Well, you might be a little bit more curious as a person and want to go out and find a real answer. You might start actually exploring reality. All those Christians in human history who were scientists, that Christians love to point out, science was invented by Christians. Kinda, sorta, yeah, maybe, not really. Writing schools, etc., yeah, Christians created that. Why? Early scientists wanted to discover how God did it. And what they discovered was that God didn't. None of what Christian scientists have discovered has ever matched the Bible. Later on, apologists, people with no credentials and just, massive amounts of dishonesty, do come in later and say, if we twist this a little bit, squint our eyes, and maybe get drunk first, that kind of looks sort of like something that maybe is in the Bible if we change a few words in the Bible. Apologists, basically. That happened later. But early scientists did want to find out how God did things. And they found out, because that was their belief, that was a consequence on their life. They looked for how God did things, and they accidentally found that God didn't do it. Which they believe is how God decided to do it, but that's different from the story in the Bible, etc. And Kent Hovind said, remember, if it's in the Bible, you accept it as it is, not billions of years of existence for the universe, just 6,000 years because of two different genealogies that don't match. Who cares anyway? Why is this subject so important? Well, it's not, but you certainly felt it was important enough to put it in your fucking book, dissertation, document, what I did last summer essay for grade school. I'd like to begin by saying that the subject is very dear to my heart. Who the fuck cares? I'm both glad and sad to be able to discuss the topic of creation/evolution in the Bible. Well, Kent, I know this is going to come as a shock. I hope it comes as enough as a big of a shock that it's like the electric chair for you, because the world would be a marginally better place with you out of the picture. But there is no creation/evolution topic in the Bible. It's not in there. You don't even know what you're writing at this point. I'm glad because I love the Bible and the God of the Bible, and I'm honored to be able to share my faith in God's incredible book. That is written verbatim as I read it in a doctoral dissertation. Keep reminding yourself, this was to earn a PhD. I mean, okay, 47 box tops and $100 gave him his PhD, but he had to turn something in. And where some people would produce research and however you do a dissertation in a real university, the fuck is the only thing I can say. Exactly like that. The fuck? Say it with me, because I'm sure you're thinking it too. And if you're not thinking it, if you're thinking, why is this person being so mean to Kent Hovind? The fuck? I'm glad because we have freedom in this country that allows us to discuss topics like this. Yeah, except if you're an atheist, in which case Kent Hovind wants you to shut the fuck up because you don't have freedom. Remember? Evolution is a religion and it shouldn't be taught in schools? Oh, right. Many other countries do not even allow a discussion on this subject. Well, many other countries don't even allow discussions on the subject, just like many countries in the past didn't allow questioning of Christianity. Oh, right. Evolution hasn't happened for religion. Religions haven't changed, except they have. Yeah, there are other countries in the world that don't allow discussion on this topic of religion. Most of them only allow discussion in the religion of their choice. That's kind of the thing. Again, Christianity used to be like that, it no longer is, except that people like Kent Hovind think only creationist Christianity should be taught in schools. Again, you have to accept the state opinion. America is headed that way, I fear. Actually, America has always been founded. Obviously, it was founded. It can't change how it was founded. But America has always been open to the discussion of the topic of religion. Except for the Puritans and others who tried to oppress, except for Utah that hates non-Mormons. Except for Clearwater, Florida that has all those Scientologists. And if you hate Scientology, you get kicked the fuck out. Or arrested like Mark Bunker. All that stuff, America's headed that way where you have to accept this state opinion except it's not. But I'm glad that right now in America we have the freedom to discuss the contradictory or conflicting religions of creation and evolution. Well, you have the freedom to discuss everything, so I don't see how specifically that topic you're inventing that doesn't actually exist would be, more important than everything. But whatever. As for contradictory or conflicting religions, creation and evolution don't contradict each other. They do conflict, but that's because creation was made up by idiots and evolution was an observed fact. And is. And continues to be. I'm glad for so many reasons. I guess he was on Prozac or something. Maybe he bought Prozac with the tax money he didn't pay. I'm glad because discussions of this type will force people to take a stand on the issue. Pretty much sure that everyone has already taken a stand on the issue. Fence sitters at this point are kind of rare. Fortunately, more and more people are becoming atheists, and fewer people are committing tax fraud. That's not necessarily true. I don't know for a fact. I just need to jab Kent Hovind in his stupid face over him being a tax fraud, over and over. You either believe one side or the other. There is no middle ground in this case, except for all the people who believe in the middle ground. Like Kenneth Miller, biologist who was called in for the defense of evolution in the Kitzmiller v. Dover case. Even Francis Collins, the Dr. Francis Collins, the former head of the Human Genome Project, who is a Bible-believing Christian and yet works in the field of evolution, biology. Except for all the people who are in the middle ground, you can only believe in one or the other. That's it. Oh, right, because Kent Hovind says you can't believe in both. So, Kent Hovind is the foremost authority on everything on the planet. Okay, he is the judge of what is an opinion and what isn't. But I am very sad because many other countries don't allow this type of discussion on creation and evolution. Including, today, many of the formerly Christian majority countries that used to kill people for being atheists. Or witches, or black, or, gay. Or, a woman. Many millions of my brothers in the faith have given their lives and fortune for the blessed book. Blessed warrants a capital B now? The Bible. Oh, thanks for letting us know that you meant that blessed book. I mean that sincerely. There are so many blessed books in the world. So many books that are considered to be magical by people. It's good that he specified the one that he's been specifying all along, because I wasn't sure that Patriot University, the Christian diploma mill, would have known that he was talking about the Bible here. I'm sad because it looks like many more will have to do the same in the next few years, the way things are going. Right, because since 1991, so many brave Christians have given their lives to the defense of the... Oh wait, not a single one of them. I'm also sad because those who reject the words of this blessed book, again with the capital B's, are missing the greatest joy known to man, fellowship with an imaginary being named God, who has a son named Jesus, who sacrificed himself to himself for your crimes that God is responsible for. Right, if fellowship with God is one of the greatest joys known to man, then I feel pity for the extremely simple-minded view of reality that these assholes have. I mean this sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, and I do actually have a heart, because I'm an atheist. I mean this sincerely. If you are a Christian, if you are religious, maybe not even a Christian, if you are religious in general, and you believe that one of the greatest joys in life is fellowship with God, I pity you. I pity you and your horrible view of how reality works. There is so much in the world that is beautiful. In the last series, I explained how I see rainbows. The symphony of mathematics that is a rainbow going through my head when I see one, that is infinitely greater than fellowship with a being that isn't there, that you think talks to you but doesn't really. If you are religious and you are accidentally watching this video, or you're doing it to get your blood pumping and you want to write an angry comment, I pity you. I am ashamed for you, because I know that as a religious person you are now incapable of experiencing shame at shameful things. I am ashamed for you and of you for thinking that the greatest joy in life is fellowship with a made-up fictional fucking character ferryman who's magic. From the bottom of my heart, if that is what you think of life, kill yourself. You'll be happier. You won't exist. You won't be capable of experiencing happiness, but you won't be able to experience the misery that your life must be right now. So do yourself a favor. Off yourself. I don't care how you do it. I'm not going to do it myself because I don't believe in killing people. But if that is how you see life, end it. Stop making everyone around you miserable. Stop being miserable. Either accept that life is greater than the primitive writings of superstitious bigots from the fucking Bronze Age. Accept that life is better than what you think, that tiny little vision that the Bible provides of the universe. Stop thinking that, or end your life. Simple as that. Maybe that sounds harsh, but you can't possibly be happy if you think the greatest joy in life is to be friends with someone who doesn't exist. Because my imaginary friend Bob, who's sitting there going like this at me, because even though he's invisible, I can see him, being friends with him does not bring me much joy. Because he's not real, and I don't actually have an imaginary friend named Bob. That's fucking stupid! So why do you have your imaginary friend God, Bob, whatever, and think being his friend makes me the happiest person? Shut the fuck up. They are also missing the real reason and purpose of life. According to all the Christians I have seen on the internet who've sent me messages, from the stuff I've read in the Bible, the real reason and purpose of life, according to the Bible, according to Christians as a whole, is to suck God's cock. forever. You suck God's dick your whole life through and do exactly what he fucking tells you, or else, and your reward for that is that you get to go to heaven, where you get to suck his dick for all of eternity and you never get a fucking day off. That's your real reason and purpose in life? See? Previous regarding killing your fucking self dead. If the words of the time-tested book are true, and they're not, those who reject them and the forgiveness what forgiveness? What forgiveness is offered in the Bible? Adam and Eve, two fictional characters that even the Roman Catholic Church now recognizes never actually fucking existed. These two fictional characters committed a fictional crime and has forever tainted all of humanity for some reason. Because God doesn't understand how blame works. And God is forgiving me for something I didn't actually do, because he has to forgive me because he killed himself as a blood offering to himself so that I could be forgiven of his accusation, which he is responsible for and I'm blameless in. Did you understand all of that? Did you follow that chain of logic? Because I did. But it's not logical. It makes no fucking sense. I explained it exactly as the Bible presents it. And it makes no fucking sense. And this is what we're supposed to want forgiveness for? For something the imaginary God is responsible for causing, for setting up? He set the pins up, he knocks them down, and it's your fault. Even though you weren't even alive, you weren't even close to being alive 2,000 years ago when this 6,000. Oh, because that's a huge fucking difference. If that's your purpose and reason in life, if you need forgiveness for that, if you're going to face God and give an account of your sin to God, which isn't your sin because it's Adam and Eve's fucking sin, if you think that has any sort of sense, there's nothing I can say to you. Because you probably don't even understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. They have a sense to them. They have a logic to them. If this makes sense to you, then 2 + 2 = 4 must be some alien construct in some sort of... How are you even listening to someone talk if you think this makes sense? God will be their judge. Yeah, jury and executioner, and he's also the guy who actually committed the crime in the first place. You're getting judged by the murderer. Good deal. Whereas he will be my father on that day. Oh, right, because he's your God and he's your father, but he's not your judge, even though you committed sins by not rendering unto Caesar. You know, you won't be judged because you're a Christian. Everyone else, they're not Christians. This topic is personal for me. No fucking shit, Kent. No shit. This topic is personal. It's not just academic. It's not academic at all. The topic is not academic at all. If someone says the Bible is a myth and is not true, or that the doctrine of evolution is true and the Genesis account of creation is false, they are attacking the very foundation of my faith. Yes. Yes, they are. Because you're fucking wrong. That's why. That's why we're attacking the foundation of your faith. 'Cause it's bullshit, Kent. Oh, you're so close to figuring this shit out. But I know that in your mind you're facing the wrong way, and anyways your head is shoved up your own ass. Jesus said, creating man was the beginning, Matt 19, blah, blah, blah. Remember Aristotle's dictum, Aristotle, blah, 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 blah. Remember, this is the chapter titled, if I can, the consequences, the whatever, the religion of evolution. Holy crap, where am I? I don't fucking know. Doesn't matter. Just, what does this have to do with the topic? because I don't even remember what the topic is. And because there's no chapter breaks, there's no page breaks, there's no telling how any of this fucking works. It's just a mess. That is not... The second argument that many people say is, well, you can't mix church and state. That is not found anywhere in the Constitution. First Amendment. It's right there. It's not found in the Constitution except the First Amendment. It's right there. That's what those words mean. You know those words in the First Amendment? Those words mean separation of church and state. That is what those words mean. Yeah, the word separation of church and state might not be in the Constitution, but the meaning is. So, by way of giving just a little more fact that evolution is just a religion and not scientific, Stephen Jay Gould, a noted evolutionist, said in "The fossil record with its abrupt transition offers no support for gradual change." Oh God, this is great. All paleontologists know that the fossil record contains precious little in the way of intermediate forms. This has to be either horribly misquoted or just made up, because it's nothing but intermediate forms. It's nothing but transition. That's what the fossil record is. Transitions. Transitions between major groups are characteristically abrupt. Well, of course they are, because you have millions of years between two fossils sometimes. Of course it would be abrupt. This one's before that one. There's a huge change because they're separated by millions of years. So even if this was not just made up or misquoted, it doesn't mean what he thinks it means. And this is the great part. Parenthesis, KJV, King James version? I don't get. Column, get book title. No, it's not King James version. The person who typed is Kim Van Gundy, so it can't be a note to Kim Van Gundy. There's a reference, and in fact, Stephen Jay Gould, a noted evolutionist, said in missing name of book, quote, get book title. Wow. Evolution is their faith. They believe it because that is what they want to believe. Well, nothing in that quote points to that. Nothing. There's nothing in that quote that says evolution is true because it's what we want to believe. It says fossil record has abrupt transitions. That's it. That's it. Oh, fucking. Hitler slaughtered the Jews, of course. Hitler and hated the blacks because he was an evolutionist. Hitler was an evolutionist. No, he was a Roman Catholic who believed he was doing the work of the Lord in killing the Jew. No, he was an evolutionist, according to Kent Hovind, who doesn't even know the fucking book titles he's referencing. Blah, blah. Stalin's brutal faith. Joseph Stalin again. The consequences of evolution. Blah, blah. It's, Nazism, communism. Let's see. Secondly, I think evolution not only affects our society, it affects modern science. Evolution is modern science. So something being a thing is guaranteed to affect the thing that it is. For instance, if evolution were not modern science, it would not affect modern science because it wouldn't be modern science and it would be completely irrelevant. So yeah, evolution affects society and modern science because it's modern science and it has an observable effect. Well, I mean, evolution is observable, and the knowledge that we have and the way that we apply it to our life does have an effect. Unlike prayer, which has absolutely no fucking effect. One of the things that we try to teach a student is what is called the scientific method. Because, of course, if you are Dr. John Wayne Gacy, or whatever the fuck his name, John Wayne Knight, whoever. It's for, you know, the intro page has his name. I'm not going to look it up. Who the fuck cares? He's not a doctor, and he's probably not even a real fucking person. It's a diploma mill. But of course, a doctor, a made-up doctor at a made-up university, would not know what the scientific method is. There are basically 4 steps involved in the scientific method. There are basically 4 steps in the scientific method column. Observation. You're probably wondering, why did he repeat himself? Because the text repeats itself. There are basically 4 steps involved in the scientific method. There are basically 4 steps in the scientific method column. Observation, experimentation, classification of data, and conclusion. This, if you want to see it, is on page 72 near the bottom of the screen. 5 lines up from the bottom. Page 72, 5 lines from the bottom. The text is horrible. Miss Kim Van Gundy, you're a bitch. And you don't know how to write for other people who are actually, you know, paying you to write for them. Because they're frauds. You know, just reminding again, Kent Hovind the douchebag is what we're driving at. He's a shameless douchebag. He's an irredeemable prick. And the world will be better off when he dies. Just like Nathan Phelps made the world a better place when he fucking croaked. So, fuck you, dead guys. Fuck you. Observation, experimentation, classification of data, and conclusion. I don't know that I would call them those. Perhaps they're correct. Classification of data just doesn't really... It's not very clear. Maybe he explains a little bit later. But I'm going to follow. And yes, there are steps to the scientific method. I don't know that there's 4. I don't know that they're precisely. But let's, just for the hell of it, go through the consequences of evolution by reviewing these 4 steps of the scientific method as told by science teacher tax fraud Kent Hovind. It is extremely important that scientists learn to use the scientific method, particular observation and experimentation. They need to learn how to be good scientists. Well, you would need to learn how to be a person first, Kent, in order to really judge anyone else. We take our science classes and try to teach them the unobservable thing of evolution. The unobservable thing of evolution. Observed instances of evolution. Type that into Google, you'll get a result in less than 5 seconds. Unobservable thing of evolution. It is observable. But, you know, it's Kent Hovind. Can't expect him to know anything. Evolution has never been observed in the present. It has never been observed in the past. Well, the first part is just false, because again, Google it. And the second part is obvious, because we don't have a magical portal that allows us to see into the past, Kent Hovind. We don't have such a magical device. Of course we can't observe it in the past, but we can see the consequences of evolution left in, you know, traces, such as the fossil record. Oh, but Kent Hovind has us by the balls. There's no record in the fossil record for evolution. Right. The fossil record is not a record. That's why it's called the fossil record. Because it's not a record. It's great that he just says so and never justifies it. There is, of course, evidence for evolution in the fossil record. Pretty much the whole thing is, you know, evolution evidence. But no, he just says it's not, and that's where you should leave it. Because it's Kent Hovind, and if you can't trust Kent Hovind, you can trust pretty much anybody else on the planet. There is no observation for this doctrine. Correct. There is no observation for the doctrine of evolution. None. Not any observation for the doctrine of evolution. I agree fully. If you don't understand why I'm saying that so often, it's because there's no fucking doctrine. But, you know, that's the point. And it does not belong in science. Thanks for lightning and snow again for the 400th time in 73 pages. Yes, I skipped that much. It is part of a religion. Yay. There is no experimentation for evolution. Yay. Do an experiment. Show me evolution happening. He's asking this question with no question mark, with no just do an experiment. Blah. All they have been able to show so far are genetic changes. That have been neutral or negative. So close and yet so far. There has never been an increase in genetic matter or genetic structure. There's an increase in genetic matter. The fuck does that even mean? Think about that. An increase in genetic matter or genetic structure. How do you increase structure? How exactly do you say that house A has more structure than house B? Increase in genetic matter. Genetic matter has very little to do with what the genetics produce. For instance, grain of rice has, I forget exactly, Aaron Ryan, his foundational Falsehoods of Creationism series, covers the genetic material stuff. There's a bacteria that has like 100 times more genetic material, what is it? Not codons, not base pairs, it's something. It has way more information in its genetic material than we do. Why would increasing matter? What difference does an increase make? If it's just redundant information, you can have all the genetic information in the world and still not have more genetic whatever. It's upward again. There has never been upward genetic material. It's all downward. Okay, whatever. You don't know what words mean, so why even talk? We have developed, for instance, through the fruit fly experiment that went on for many years, flies with no eyes, flies with red eyes, flies with rumpled wings, flies with no wings, but never anything but another fly. Yeah, the reason for that, Kent, is because you don't understand what the point of that experiment was, or how evolution fucking works. But, we already knew that. It was always a fly that was less likely to survive in the wild. Except the reason fruit flies were being researched was for cancer, in large part, because they have such a quick life cycle that you can get generations really, really quickly. Instead of, mice, which take, I don't know how long mice take to reproduce, but if it's months, that's more than days. If you have a new generation of fruit flies every week, then it's a lot better than every 3 months, or every year. You want generations quickly, you go with animals or insects that reproduce really quickly. So that's why the fruit flies. Why would they produce anything but another fly? Do you expect flies to lay an egg and a mouse comes out? Oh wait, yes, he does. Because he's a Comfortian dumb fuck. Comfort thinks you should have 2 lizards, they have sex, a dog comes out. Well, Kent Hovind here is admitting that he also does not understand reproduction, which is embarrassing because he's a father. Think about that. Kent Hovind is a father. If that doesn't depress you, it should depress you. What is wrong with you? Why are you not depressed? It was always a fly that was in the wild. How well could a fly that couldn't fly survive? Well, it depends. Maybe it would become a roach. You don't need to fly to survive. It does help survival. It certainly helps locomotion. But there are insects that don't have wings. Do they all die out? Oh, no they don't. Evolution teaches that things gradually increase. No. No. Evolution does not teach that. Increase is a meaningless word in the context of evolution. Things gradually increase. Okay, even if increase has a meaning in the theory of evolution, things. Could you be less specific, please? I'm blown away with how precise your increases. What the fuck? And yet there's no experimentation to back it up, except that you couldn't Google it 5 seconds, observed instances, evolution, etc. Maybe in 1991 he didn't have access to the internets. Maybe he had to mail... Oh, right. There's a typist, so he had to mail this manuscript in. There was no internet for Kent Hovind at the time. Or maybe Miss Kim Van Gundy didn't know how to operate the computer machines. And, you know, given how all the text on most of the pages is slightly slanted, she didn't even know how to put the pieces of paper in the machine properly. Bing! The effect that evolution has on science, I think, is devastating. Really. How exactly has science been devastated by evolution? Given that the entire basis of biology makes no sense unless evolution is true. Just saying. America is rapidly losing ground in the world market in our science students. Correct. America is becoming the third world country of science. In no small part because of assholes like Kent Hovind who want science out of the science classroom. You can't complain that you're getting what you want and then say you're not getting what you want. We are turning out students that many other countries are able to beat in academic scores and academic knowledge because we waste so much class time and textbook time on this dumb idea of a scientific fact that is real that other people beat us in because they're better at it and don't think it's fucking bullshit. It cannot be proved. Oh, well, thanks again for repeating the same fucking thing for 500 times now. There's no observation, blah blah. On the trip to the moon, they were so concerned that there might be some type of bacterial life on the moon. They spent extra money to isolate the moon rocks when they got them in the spacecraft and when they got them back on Earth. Yeah, there was this this trailer. I think it's called Hornet something. It was great. They were worried about space diseases for the first astronauts. So they isolated them, quarantined them in this basically solid chrome RVs. Hilarious to look at. Kind of funny vehicle, but pretty neat. And what they did made sense. They didn't know, so they didn't take any chances. Kent Hovind here is going with perfect hindsight. Well, there wasn't anything there, so they were stupid. Well, yeah, great for you. You know already what the answer is, so anyone who didn't know the answer way before, that didn't, you know, have access to the knowledge like that, they were stupid. Like Kent Hovind, he's such a stupid asshole. There's all this evolution stuff and he doesn't know about it. Oh, wait. In that case, it's true. Well, the difference is Kent Hovind doesn't plan ahead, whereas they did, just in case. Kent Hovind, if there was a space disease, you would be dead right now. They were right to take a precaution. They will do the same with all the other planets. They will say, oh, there might be life there. We need to protect those rocks. Yeah, because the rocks were really the important thing. Yeah. Not a possibility of a plague that wiped humanity out. No, no. Just got to save the rocks from diseases. One of the astronauts offered to eat some of the moon dust on the way back to prove that there was no life on it and that it was perfectly sterile. What the hell? Bring back a Mars rock or a Jupiter rock, I'll eat it or lick it. Oh. Kent Hovind here is offering to lick rocks. Goes a very long way towards explaining his level of non-intelligence. Blah, blah, blah. Christians need to stand up for what is right. I believe God's word is the truth, and all real scientific evidence validates it. Well, if Christians were to stand up for what is right, they would be sitting down around you. And that's the end of this crappy chapter, and there's only a few pages left. I'm on page 75 as I finish this, out of 102. I don't know how much of the actual 13 or 14, however many chapters he listed in the introductions he actually gets to. Maybe I have an older version of the document from WikiLeaks. I don't know. But, yeah. So that's the end of this chapter. Whatever it was about. Because, let's face it, consequences of evolution, evolution causes negative mutations that kill you. Society suffers from it. No. Even if evolution only produced negative mutations, society could still potentially survive from knowing this. In fact, we might survive better knowing that evolution produces only negative mutations, which it doesn't. For the most part, they're neutral. There's a small amount of bad ones, and there's a few ones that are beneficial. The important thing to remember is that some of the neutral mutations might eventually be useful. For instance, hair color. If your hair changes color, maybe conditions will change and your hair color will be more useful. You know, it's a neutral mutation, but it might have some beneficial result. So what are the consequences of evolution to society? If you read just this thing, you'll have no fucking clue, because even I don't at this point from reading this. I don't even know what he was complaining about the whole time. Just, you know, evolution is science, evolution is science. Evolution is a religion, not science, not science, not science. Okay, you repeat it. Great. You can repeat platitudes over and over. Who the fuck cares? And I'm going to end on that note. I can repeat over and over how fucking stupid this is, but I think I've made my point. And I'll be back shortly with possibly the dumbest chapter title yet. Time. What is it, and how old is the Earth?